Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Ask Doc Live. We just thank you so much for joining us today. It is Friday, September 4th. I can't believe we're coming up on the last part of the year. That's just gone by way too fast, way too fast. So I hope everybody is well and staying strong. And we are just honored to have Dr. Wallach here with us every Friday morning. My name is Rebecca Kozak, and on behalf of my co-hosts, John T. McCollier, Nasima Omar, and Ruth Ellen Sanchez, we just thank you so much for joining us today. We want to make sure that you have the information available to you so that you can be empowered of your own health and help others around you as well have that power to make decisions based on decades of research and how nutrition really does affect your well-being now and later. So Dr. Wallach, thank you so much again for joining us. It is a great honor to be here and be one of the co-hosts and hosting you this morning. Welcome, and I know you have some great information you want to start out with, so please take it away.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Rebecca, and all our other co-hosts. Appreciate and love you all. And it's one of those things where it gets more exciting every day, so thank you so much for allowing me to share. And today I want to talk about the red warning lights for COVID-19, the red warning lights. And I think everybody, even if you can't read, you understand the red warning light. If you drive a car or have ever been a passenger in a car, you know about the red warning lights. Red warning light comes on, and the red warning light's not going to crash your car or destroy your engine or anything like that, but it tells you, there's something going on. You better pull over and check your oil level and check your coolant, and if there's water in the radiator, and check your air filter and all that kind of stuff, because it's letting you know there's something going on that could hurt your car. So everybody knows the symbolism of the red warning light. Well, I want to talk about the red warning light for COVID-19. Now, I've been talking about this since October of last year, and nobody really paid much attention to me. But in the last month or so, I've gotten quite a bit of information. In the last couple of days, Nasima, one of our co-hosts, she gave me a big chunk of information. She gave me access to 188 autopsies of people who died from COVID. And being a pathologist, I was able to open up that article and get more out of it than the average person, because I could understand all the language of the pathologists and everything. So that sort of was the final stitch in the bonnet, so to speak, because I'd been working on this for a long time. But I was having a little bit of trouble getting it together in common language, because I could do it very nicely in pathology language, but then, it would be just a handful of people who would understand what I was talking about. So the red warning light was perfect. And I'm going to start out by saying I first knew what the problem was in October of 2019. Because when a 3-year-old would get COVID-19, they would get a half a degree increase in their body temperature. They'd go from 98.6 to 99. And they had common cold-like symptoms for 3 days, and it was over. They're perfectly normal. When a 63-year-old or 73-year-old or an 83-year-old got COVID, they had to be put in the hospital for 2 months, and all these $10,000 respirators, all the flurry over that, so they could survive in the hospital. Many came out with permanent side effects of COVID, and many died. And so I knew back in October of 2019, what is the difference between a 3-year-old getting COVID, who should be really highly susceptible to it and susceptible to terrible side effects, but nothing. And here's a 63-year-old, a 73-year-old, and an 83-year-old. Now, one of the things they never report, and in these 188 autopsies that Nasima sent me, well, guess what? They didn't report it in there either. I had to call some of the pathologists and ask them, did you look? And they said, no. Okay, they didn't even look. and that is the intestines. Okay, well, the intestines of a 3-year-old are perfect. They're able to absorb nutrients and support their immune system, which are white blood cells, stem cells that make antibodies, platelets, red blood cells. But when a 63-year-old has been eating gluten for 63 years, their intestines are dead. All those little finger-like villi are gone. They've lost 97 and 98% or more of their absorptive surface, and they're not getting enough nutrition for their bone marrow, which is their immune system, to make white blood cells, and T lymphocytes, which is a form of white blood cells, is the Marines and the to defend you, right? And the cavalry to go kill and eat the viruses. You can't make the antibodies without these nutrients, and you can't get the nutrients if you're not absorbing them because all your villi are gone, your intestines are dead. Well, that's a gluten issue. And, you know, over time, people get ulcerative colitis, irritable bowel syndrome, diverticulitis, they get celiac disease, they get colitis and all that kind of stuff. And they get cortisone and prednisone to calm everything down, and they're kind of okay for a couple of years, but they didn't change their diet, so things keep getting worse and worse and worse. And people would come to me, Rebecca, and they're in their 60s, 70s, and you know, they've got skin problems, and they've got bowel problems, they got respiratory problems. They say, look, you got a gluten problem here, so we're going to give you the 90 essential nutrients. I want you to get off of gluten. We brought around oats. Wait a minute, I've been eating oatmeal for breakfast for 70 years. Why suddenly now am I having a problem? Well, because slowly over 70 years, your intestines have been damaged. It's not a switch on, switch off thing like you eat gluten today and your intestines are dead. It takes time. And so at about the 50th, 60th year, 50% to 75% of your intestines are dead. By your 70th year, 95% of your intestines are dead. And now you're starting to get all this stuff that you've been creating over a 70-year period. Excuse me. So what are some of the early red warning lights? Well, obesity is one of the big ones. In these 188 autopsies I looked at that Nasima sent me, obesity was a big factor. That was one of their pre-existing conditions. And then there was diabetes, and then there's high blood pressure, and there's heart disease, and there's elevated triglycerides. And about 1950, this sort of picture began to show up in just about everybody in America. All those diseases started showing up in everybody, and insurance companies didn't want to pay for all this, and so they objected. So the medical system put all of these different diseases into a bundle, which they called the metabolic syndrome. So they would bill for the metabolic syndrome, and the insurance company didn't mind paying for one disease as opposed to 5. Okay, beginning to get the picture here? So this is what was the pre-existing conditions in these 188 autopsies were the metabolic syndrome: obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, kidney failure, triglycerides, elevated triglycerides, and so on. Well, I began to write about those things. Let's see here. I began to write about those things back in the 1970s. Okay, so we're talking 50-something years ago. And, you know, some people listened to me and many people didn't. So now I want to take that information. Now people say, okay, the red warning light is the metabolic syndrome, which consists usually of obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease of many different kinds, elevated triglycerides. Okay, those are the red warning lights. They put them all under this one headline. You can look it up, metabolic syndrome. And they're all caused by nutritional deficiencies, which are caused by malabsorption because I've been eating gluten all this time. Okay, so now we got to go to another piece of the story. I've been looking at Asian countries like Thailand, for instance. Thailand has a population of 66,188,503 people. They have 58 deaths from COVID. I take California with 39,250,011, okay, which is about half of the population of Thailand, and they have 13,163 dead from COVID. Is 13,163 bigger than 58?
Just a wee bit.
Just a wee bit. So why the dramatic difference? Is that the only one? No. Okay, let's look at Hawaii. 1,451,000 people. They had 75 deaths. And you look at, let's see here, who else can we look at that's low? Let's look at China with 1.4 billion people. Let's look at China with 1.4 billion people. And let's look at California with 39 million. Okay, let's look at California with 39 million and China with with 1.4 billion. China has 4,724 deaths and California has 13,163. 3 times, 300% more. Well, why is California so big compared to China? China has 1.4 billion people, for goodness sakes, and California only has 39 million. Well, California lives on wheat, barley, rye, and oats because they're all hippies, okay, and they want to be earth muffins and eat grains and all that kind of stuff, and so they're getting all this gluten. And they even drink beer made out of wheat, and they eat spaghetti made out of wheat, and they eat flour tortillas made out of wheat, and they eat pizza crust made out of wheat, right? And China is a rice-eating country. There's no gluten in rice. So they only have 4,700 dead compared with California with 13,163 dead. Then you come to India. Okay, well, let's look at our neighbor. Okay, let's see here. Canada, they have 37 million people. They have 9,135 dead. Now let's go to India. I've been working on India for some time, and I got World Health Organization records on India and COVID because I'm saying, okay, here's the second largest country in the world, 1.4 billion. I think they're just like 500,000 less than China. And they only have 67,000 dead. Okay. They have 67,000 dead. But wait a minute. India has the exact same population as China, and China only has 4,000 dead, and India has 67,000 dead. What's going on there? So I began to look at India. What's going on with India? Okay, well, China is 99.9% rice eating, rice and sweet potatoes, no gluten. India, 50% is wheat and 50% is rice. Now, I went to the World Health Organization and started looking for these metabolic syndrome diseases. And it says in India, the metabolic syndrome is one of the most common things, especially in the big cities. They all have obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, elevated triglycerides, kidney failure. So India has a lot of these Western type diseases. Okay, so I dug deeper and I said, boy, this just jumped out at me, Rebecca. It said 84% of the COVID infections in India occur in the 10 northern states, 84%. Now there's 29 states, the other 19 states are considered the southern states of India, have only 16% of the infections. The deaths in India from COVID, 95% are in the 10 northern states and only 5% in the southern states. I mean, that's a very dramatic difference. So why the difference? Well, because the southern states are 100% rice and sweet potato eaters, and in the northern states are 100% wheat eaters, all from the United Nations.
That's incredible, just the difference between north and south.
Well, it's kind of like the United States. Have you ever heard of Southern fried chicken?
Oh, yeah.
You ever heard of Southern cooking?
I have heard of Southern cooking.
Okay, so that's why people in the South have a shorter lifespan than the people in the North here in America. They have different diseases, and that's why the slaves outlive the plantation owners. Now, you know, people were offended by Uncle Remus and Uncle Tom and Aunt Jemima and all that kind of stuff. But those are affectionate terms given to those slaves by the plantation owners. They couldn't call them Sir, because that was for royalty, Sir Galahad and Sir whatever, okay? And so when a slave got to be 100, 110, 112 years old and was running the plantation, and there'd been 3 generations of plantation owners on that plantation, they all died at 45 to 50, and the slaves lived to be 112 and was still running the plantation, they called him Uncle Tom or Uncle Remus. That was an affectionate term they gave him. Right. It was kind of like a rank of general amongst the slaves, okay? Same way with Aunt Jemima. When she was 100 years old and cooking for 3 generations of plantation owners, they gave her the name of Auntie, or, you know, Aunt Jemima. So what was it? What was the difference between the plantation owners, for goodness sakes, and the slaves? Why were the slaves outliving 3 generations of plantation owners?
Well, the plantation, diet.
Yeah, well, it had to be the diet, exactly. So I began to look and go through the records from 200, 300, 400 years ago, and it was very consistent. The plantation owners felt themselves the royalty of America, and they wanted to mimic the lifestyle of the royalty in Europe. And so, you know, when you picture a European royalty, you know, he's got a big rib steak and he's holding the rib bone and eating the rib steak, or he may be got a big chicken in his hands, or a quail or something like that, or a partridge, and he's just got the 2 ends of the partridge and he's just gnawing away at the breast meat and stuff like that. And so the plantation owners here in America, all they wanted to do is just eat the meat. Whether it was a deer that they had shot, or a cow they had raised, or a pig, or a chicken, or whatever it was, they just wanted to eat the meat. And they gave all the heart and the lungs and the liver and the kidneys and the chicken feet and the pig's feet and all that kind of stuff to the slaves. Well, the slaves are getting all the trace minerals, because the trace minerals were stored in the liver. The slaves are getting collagen and all the products necessary to maintain cartilage and ligaments and tendons and connective tissue from the chicken's feet and the pig's feet, by eating all the tendons and ligaments and cartilage and bones. And then the mamas and the wives of these slaves would put the bones that they would eat the meat off of, because there's a little bit of meat left on the bones, they would eat the bones. They'd put them in water and simmer them all night on the stove. And my grandmother did that. She'd simmer the bones from the chicken bones and the beef bones and fish bones all night on the wood stove. And then we would fight over who was going to get the bone broth in the morning for breakfast. Okay. So here it comes. All these things are red warning lights. Okay, the metabolic syndrome. Okay, things like kidney failure. Now, there's nothing wrong with your kidneys when you have kidney failure. It's an artery problem. You're not getting the dirty blood in the kidneys, so the blood test shows the kidney's not filtering the blood. You treat the arteries, and kidney failure goes away, and you're off of dialysis in a couple of weeks. I treat people, Rebecca, that have not urinated in 10 years. They're on dialysis 6 days a week for 10 years. They didn't want to get a kidney transplant. They've been on dialysis totally for 25 years. And I put them on for my program, which is the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, the Ultimate Daily Classic Tablets, MSM, Glucogel, and vitamin D3. And in 2 weeks' time, they're urinating, so they drop them down from 6 dialysis a week to 3. And then in 2 more weeks, they're totally off of dialysis after 25 years.
Yep.
Okay. And so because I'm treating the actual cause as opposed to treating the symptoms, that's the difference between what the doctors, the medical profession are doing, and what we at Youngevity do. We get to the bottom root cause of things, and being a pathologist, having done 32,000 autopsies, I'm going to give you a statistic here, not to brag, but just to give credibility here. My thesis, which was based on $25 million grant from the National Institutes of Health at the Center for Biology of Natural Systems at Washington University in St. Louis, I did 20,000 autopsies. It's put together in this book, which is my thesis. W.B. Saunders, which was I don't even know if they exist anymore, but W.B. Saunders was the biggest medical textbook publishing house in the world. And they took my thesis, which was 5,000 pages, typed pages, 5,000, 20,000 autopsies, and they rendered it down to 1,200 pages, and they put it under a hardcover, and they sold it as a textbook for pathologists. Now, hold on to your desktop here, because they were selling it for $25,000 a copy. They made 30,000 copies. They published 30,000 copies in the first printing. They sold out in 2 weeks at $25,000 a copy.
That's incredible.
Because I showed there were no genetically transmitted diseases. I repeat that. I showed there were no genetically transmitted diseases. There are no genetically transmitted birth defects. Okay, 98% of all birth defects are caused by nutritional deficiencies. The other 2% are caused by infections early in pregnancy, or maybe a toxin or a pharmaceutical like thalidomide, which was a anti-morning sickness drug. We had 10,000 babies born in America with no arms and legs because their mothers were given thalidomide early in pregnancy. Okay, and so these are all the things that I'm collecting and putting in this thesis. And so they put my thesis into the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure because they showed there are no genetically transmitted diseases and there are no genetically transmitted birth defects. So I'm, along with another guy by the name of Bruce Lipton, co-fathers of a new science that has replaced genetic called epigenetics. I have the first textbook ever written for epigenetics. This is a bestseller. I mean, we sell thousands of these a month today. Of course, they're available to our distributors, okay? Epigenetics, which is a replacement for genetics. And so you can go to drjwallach.com, drjwallach.com, all small case, drjwallach.com. Has all my books and CDs and DVDs, and of course the newest one is All in Your Head, okay, which covers all the diseases that are caused by osteoporosis of the skull, thought to be degenerative and genetic diseases by doctors. And so again, so what value is this to know that 84% of the infections of COVID in India occur in the 10 northern states, and 95% of the deaths of COVID occur in the 10 northern states, and only 5% of the deaths occur in the 19 southern states and the 7 territories in India, and only 16% of the infections occur in the southern states and the territories of India. Well, that tells you if you just change your diet, you're starting to see in your family all these red warning lights, okay? The metabolic syndrome. Now, I'll give you another one here and then we'll go into some more specifics. Herman Cain. Some people say he was a billionaire. Some people say he was a multi-millionaire. Some say a billionaire. But he was 74 years old. He ran for president of the Republican Party in, I think it was 2008. Okay. And he was the CEO from the very beginning of Godfather's Pizza. Now, the last day of June of this year, it was June 30th, whatever it was, he was diagnosed with COVID. And he's laughing and joking and had kind of a dry cough and said, look, we're going to put you in the hospital for a while and we'll give you some IV antibiotics and antiviral drugs and we'll give you some oxygen, give you some relief there and put you on the respirator if you need it. And they put this guy, Herman Cain, into the hospital, a private hospital. I mean, we're talking way up there in cost, right? And supposedly the quality of the doctors and care and so forth. The last day of July, just 29 days later, he's dead. Now, when they did the autopsy on him, 3 days later, they didn't find any viral pneumonia, which is what they were treating him for, okay? But all the capillaries in his body were filled with really weird red blood clots because there was no platelets in the clots. They were all just sticky red blood cells plugging up all the little capillaries in the body so that none of the oxygen could get from the lungs to the rest of the body. And that's why he was coughing and they were giving him oxygen and he wouldn't respond to the oxygen because he couldn't get it to the rest of the body. Because they were giving him the wrong things. They had no earthly idea what was going on. They weren't paying attention to the metabolic syndrome. Well, I was looking at pictures of him. He was at least 50 pounds overweight. Okay. And he also was diagnosed with colon cancer and he was, quote, in remission for colon cancer. So was it really colon cancer or was it ulcerative colitis? Okay. I'd have to see the slides myself because I don't trust these guys, because 91% of the diagnoses of cancer by medical doctor pathologists is incorrect. This just came out a couple of weeks ago. 91% of the diagnosis of cancer is incorrect. So if you get a diagnosis of cancer, you want to say, give me a set of those slides I'm going to take it to a couple of pathologists in various medical schools around the surrounding states and see what they say about this. Also, we found out that women who get diagnosed with breast cancer, if you're eating fried chicken, you have a 425% increase in risk of being diagnosed with breast cancer. If you do not eat fried chicken, you have a 425% less risk of being diagnosed with breast cancer.
That's
So
incredible.
Isn't that incredible? And this was on a big study, 92,000 nurses over 25 years. I mean, you can't say anything about that statistic because it's not just two drunken doctors talking to a couple of nurses, okay? I mean, this was a big study over 25 years and, and published in several medical journals. And the one that said that 91% of the diagnosis of cancer was incorrect was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. It was published in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute in July. Oh,
This
let me
year.
back up here. No, that's what I
Oh.
say. Let me back up. It was in July. I was doing this for effect, but thank you for doing that. I want people to think, oh, July of this year? No, it was July of 2013. Now, did your doctor send you an email? Did your doctor say anything to you when you visited him since 2013? Your doctor should have his license stripped from him because your doctor is a serial killer. And so that's why I came up with this, which was a Zoom video, okay? And we turned it into a DVD, and in 2 weeks' time, we'll have the CD. This is one of the greatest DVDs I've ever done. Is Your Doctor Killing You? And of course, it was a natural follow-up to Dead Doctors Don't Lie. This is available right now. You order today, it gets shipped today. I mean, it's exciting, okay? And so don't forget the red warning lights. And say you're 40, 50 years old, you also want to get a hold of the book. Let's see here. Oh, I know I got it here somewhere. Where are you?
Dr.
Oh, okay.
Wallach, while you're looking for that, I just want people to know that those warning lights, they show up, for me, was as early as 8.
Wow, 8 years old.
8 years old, they got worse at 16, and at 30, an MRI showed I had the insides of somebody 65, 70 in poor health. So don't ignore those warning lights.
Okay, now.
At any age.
Yeah, I apologize. I can't find it. Maybe Milan carried it off. Okay, it's called Hell's Kitchen. There's a CD that goes along with it. It's one of my best sellers, Hell's Kitchen. And there's a book and a CD. And the main piece of it is obesity and diabetes. Yep, well, there you go. Thank you. There you go. Good girl. Yeah. Okay, so Hell's Kitchen, the book, and Hell's Kitchen, the CD, tell you what causes obesity and what causes diabetes. Diabetes is a simple nutritional deficiency disease. There's 2 different nutrients. Either one of those by themselves can, if you're deficient in either one of them, you'll get diabetes. Most people, when they have diabetes, are deficient in both of those because they kind of run together, okay? And there's several other red warning light diseases that are associated with deficiencies of those nutrients: reactive hypoglycemia and narcolepsy. Narcolepsy is an old term, goes back 1,000 years or more, when people would eat and then a half hour to an hour later they get really drowsy, they just have to go lay down and take a nap for 3 hours. Okay, well today, if somebody's kind of up on things, they might call it reactive hypoglycemia. If you eat some carbohydrates or some sugar, within a half hour to an hour, you're going to be asleep for 3 hours, okay? And it's called reactive hypoglycemia because when you release insulin, because you're eating sugar, it drops your blood sugar almost to 0, okay? It's why immediately you go to sleep. And this is why so many people cross the center line. You know, they eat lunch, they jump in the car and they're driving, they fall asleep, they cross the center line, do a head-on collision and hit somebody, and they check them, they say, well, they weren't intoxicated, they didn't have any alcohol, must have had a stroke or something. Okay, no, they had reactive hypoglycemia or narcolepsy because they're deficient in those same nutrients that cause type 2 diabetes. Now again, I take people that are brittle diabetics for 30 years and 30 days are next diabetic. I take people whose A1C, which is kind of a tracking scorecard for how you're controlling your diabetes, A1C, And it's supposed to be below 5 or below.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I run into people who their A1Cs are 15 to 19 to 25 for 3 years, 5 years. And anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, they're down below 4 in their A1C because I give them our healthy blood sugar pack, okay? And they don't have reactive hypoglycemia anymore, and they don't have diabetes anymore. They go back to a normal life, and their insurance rates drop and all that kind of stuff because all these diseases are gone. And so I always ask them, what'd your doctor say after 20 years of your A1C being above 15, and now it's 4, what'd your doctor say? He said, oh, he said, well, this must be a mistake. So he went and reran it, came back and said, no, that's correct. Your A1C is 4. It's a miracle. And turned around and walked out the door. I said, didn't he ask what you're doing so he could give it to the rest of his patients with diabetes? He says, no, didn't ask me anything. Well, that doctor should go to jail because he should have been foaming at the mouth. You sit down here. Listen, I'll buy you lunch, but I want to know what you're doing. So I've got some really serious diabetics I want to give this to, but they never do that because they depend on people coming in over and over and over because they have 3 kids in college and they need to pay the tuition.
So Dr. Wallach, when I found your products in 2016, within my first 3 months of just taking the pig pack, I dropped 20 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
And did no changes. I did not know about your 10 good and bad foods.
Well, you know why? Well, here's the deal. Being obese is a nutritional deficiency. It can't be. Yeah, no, it's a nutritional deficiency. Now, there's certain nutrients. If you're missing them, you're going to be hungry all the time. And it produces a behavior called pica, P-I-C-A. Have you ever heard of pica?
Raising horses and being on a farm, yes.
There you go. Well, in horses, it's called cribbing, right? They eat the top rail of the stall in the barn. And it came from the term that was given to babies before 1945 when they first came out with those baby formulas because mothers were working in the war zone and working in factories making bullets and things, so they couldn't breastfeed them. So they had to come up with a formula, which was a good idea. But they only put 3 minerals in there. So many of these newborn babies were chewing on the crib, so they called it cribbing. They were holding the crib rail and chewing on the crib. That's why they put that fiberglass sleeve on the rail, because the kids would just, within 2 weeks, they'd gnaw right through that rail, okay, looking for the minerals. Grandma, when she was minerally deficient, she would go out in the backyard with a spoon and eat dirt, or she would put wood ashes into her bread dough and wood ashes into her yogurt and wood ashes into her oatmeal, or she would just eat wood ashes just straight to satisfy her cravings. How many calories are there in wood ashes? 0. Yeah, okay. Now, well, here's the deal. In the old days, back when I was a kid, you never saw anybody who was overweight or obese. And that wasn't because they were exercising, because they're eating wood ashes, okay? If you wanted to see a fat person, you had to go to a carnival or a circus to see the fat lady, who is usually never bigger than 250 pounds. Now, I mean, I treat people 100 times a month who are 400, 500, 600 pounds. They come to me by the hundreds. I get them to lose 2 pounds a day on our weight loss program. Plus, I give them the 90 essential nutrients so they don't crave stuff anymore. Okay, I get rid of their pica. And this is why snack foods came into existence, because these entrepreneurs are saying, you know, there's grandma out there eating wood ashes and dirt, and kids are eating sand in the sandbox, 1 shovel for the bucket and 1 shovelful for their mouth. We need to give them some snacks because we're not making any money when they're eating dirt and sand and wood ashes. So they came up with pretzels and potato chips and corn puffs and cookies and crackers and muffins and all these kind of things which they would sell. And lo and behold, guess what? Suddenly now the obesity rate went up because they weren't getting any nutrients to satisfy their cravings. They were satisfying their cravings by eating more calories. Okay, pica, P-I-C-A. You can look it up in any Webster's dictionary. It's a medical term, but it's so common that it's in every English dictionary, pica, P-I-C-A. Okay, so if you're 10, 12, 15, 25, 30, 40, and you don't have any, what should I say, you haven't had any surgeries or anything like that yet, but you're starting to, you know, you're maybe 25, 50 pounds overweight, you have pre-diabetes, your blood pressure is kind of right there on the border, you want to say, okay, I'm getting ready to jump into the metabolic syndrome here, so I need to really get on the big hammer. I want to get on the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. I want to get on the MSM. I want to get on the vitamin D3, the glucogel, and the collagen peptides. I need the sweeties. I need all that stuff to get all these things down so I don't develop the metabolic syndrome and be susceptible to COVID. It's kind of like you're washing your hands and wearing a mask to reduce exposure to COVID, right? But you're still susceptible to it. You're still highly susceptible to it if you're not absorbing enough nutrients to feed your bone marrow, which is your immune system, to make white blood cells, okay, and T lymphocytes, which are white blood cells that go through the bloodstream to kill and eat the viruses. You're not making any stem cells to make antibodies to go through the bloodstream to kill the viruses. You're not making any normal platelets to prevent you from bleeding to death, which happens. The cause of death is COVID is almost never viral pneumonia. It's almost always hemorrhaging or blood clots, those kind of things, okay, because it's a deficiency disease, okay, and you put that load of the COVID virus on it and it tips everything over. COVID, if you didn't have all these pre-existing conditions, if you didn't have the metabolic syndrome, you could have COVID like a 10-year-old and you'd be perfectly normal, no complications, no death. So they're going to come up with a vaccine, okay, and it'll be very interesting when they come up with a vaccine, and they might, with everybody doing everything else in the vaccine, they're still going to die, but they say, oh, he died from diabetes. He died from heart disease, because they're not going to be able to say COVID-19 anymore, because the vaccine will help you form antibodies, okay, but you still need the nutrients to do that. So you still need to be able to absorb. So you just still need to get off of gluten. And again, remember, the Asian countries have the lowest infection rates and the lowest death rates. The southern states of India have the lowest death rates and infection rates because they live on rice and sweet potatoes. They do not eat gluten.
So I have a question, Dr. Wallach, about rice, and this is something
Okay.
that's come up quite a bit. Rice is considered a simple carb. Do you or do you not agree with that?
That's correct.
And with simple carbs, they can convert quickly to sugar, which then they say creates fat. So how do we have that balance there? Because
Okay,
I love rice.
Okay, well, Rebecca, have you ever heard of the science of crapola?
Okay, I have. Crapiology. There you go.
Yeah, crapiology, yeah. Okay, and so basically they're blaming sugar for your diabetes because these doctors, medical doctors, do not know that type 2 diabetes, 98%, is caused by what? A deficiency of one or two nutrients. It could be both of them or one or the other. It's a nutritional deficiency. It is not caused by eating carbohydrates or sugars. If everything is perfect, you can eat carbohydrates just like they do in China. They have an extremely low rate of diabetes in China, yet they have 1.4 billion people who eat nothing but rice. Hello?
So how do they get all of their nutrients? Is it the way that the rice is grown, that it's just has more minerals than anything we have here in the States?
They do something really weird.
Tell us.
They eat seaweed as a vegetable.
Okay.
Okay? They eat sea salt as a condiment. Our doctors say, don't eat salt. I'll tell you a great story about salt. I'm going to go back to the year 3600 BC. There's a healer in Egypt who was drying seaweed and feeding it to people. And he noticed when he gave this dried seaweed to people that had big goiters, within 2 weeks to a month, their goiters were gone. So he began to specially make these little packages of this dried seaweed for people with goiter, and their goiter would go away in a couple of weeks. Well, this ran all the way up until 1830 when a chemist was analyzing seaweed and found that it had iodine in it. He said, well, iodine must be the thing that's dealing with the goiter stuff. That was 1830. Then in 1920, a company in New York came out with salt in this big paper canister because so many people had pica now, so they're eating a lot of salt, right? They're driven to eat salt. There are no calories in salt, so that was a good thing, help them with digestion, but they're eating a lot of salt. We're selling so much salt now. He said, I'm going to put some iodine in it, because it'll help people with goiter. So they made iodized salt in 1920. You've heard of iodized salt,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Well, within, I'd say 6 months to a year, goiter in the world disappeared because everybody's using the iodized salt, because everybody was using salt because they were minerally deficient because they had electricity. No more wood stoves at that time. Okay, now, here comes the Second World War, and all these medical doctors are going to special schools to be military doctors and all that kind of stuff. And they're told, now salt causes high blood pressure, get all your patients off of salt, and they won't get high blood pressure. So they're running around telling people, get off of salt, get off of salt, get off of salt. But they never said, be sure, when you get your people off of salt, make sure they take a nutritional supplement that has iodine in it. They never, never, never said that. So guess what now has taken over the world again? Goiter.
And something that I love is longevity has responded quite quickly. And we have these ultimate iodine drops.
Yes, we have ultimate iodine drops. We have the pink Himalayan salt. We have pink Himalayan salt with black pepper in it. I use both, the iodine drops, which I put into my juju, my drink with all my stuff in it, okay? And so I put the drops in there, but I also put in the, let's see here, I also take the 90 essential nutrients, right? I use the pink iodized salt on my sweet potatoes and my rice for breakfast every morning. And I have my 3 poached eggs, which I put my pink Himalayan salt on my poached eggs. And so I get all that stuff, and I'm 81 years old, and most people think I'm in my 50s, and I don't have any wrinkles, I don't have any gray hair, I don't have any of this stuff, and I work 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I'm all over the world, different time zones and everything like that, and I'm still very productive. And I do maybe 8 to 10 Zooms a week now, and it's going to be more, I'm sure, and every couple of months I'm coming out with new tools and everything and pointing out, and I get a lot of help from people because I'm educating a lot of people. I mean, one of the nicest things, and I've known Nasima for years, and she's always been extremely helpful and making sure everything happens for the good. And when she sent me, she said, Doc, I got something special for you. And she emailed me this summary of these 188 autopsies, and I went and looked at the original articles and everything, and dug down deep into each of those 188 autopsies, and they all had the metabolic syndrome before they died with COVID. Yep.
That's incredible. Well, I just want to thank everybody for joining us here on Ask Doc Live. And Dr. Wallach, we have some hands up. We have some questions in the chat. We have questions that have been emailed in. So let's go ahead and
Rebecca, we got some work to do.
We have a lot of work to do, Dr. Wallach. A lot of work. All right. And I love this work because we're helping others. We're empowering others to take control of their own health.
Watch for the red warning lights.
Yes, watch for the red warning light. And we want to say this show is brought to you for informational purposes, for education. It's not to take the place of your doctor or anything that he's told you to do, but listen to your body. What's your body telling you? And what's making sense? So Dr. Wallach, first we have a 70-year-old woman. She's 170 pounds, 5'6", and she has hemorrhoids. So she recently has started on the Healthy Body Bone and Joint Pack. So what else does she need to take?
Okay, she needs to give herself some MSM.
Okay.
And she weighs 170 pounds?
Yes.
Okay, I'd have her take 3 of those twice a day. That's 1 bottle a month. It's a big bottle, so she'll be able to do that. I also want her to take the ultimate enzymes. I want her to take 1 or 2 of those, say 2 to 5 minutes for each meal with a couple ounces of water. And one of the most important things she needs to do is get rid of the gluten out of her life. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, butter, rye, and oats. Everybody in the family. And I had one gal call me one time. Well, this has happened actually many times. These people will call me, but one was very dramatic, where she would call me. She said, well, Doc, I've been taking your program as you told me for 6 months. I haven't seen any improvement whatsoever. In fact, I'm gradually getting worse. And she says, before you even ask me, she says, I am drop dead gluten-free. I will give you $1 billion if you can find any gluten in my diet. I said, okay. Do you live alone? No, I'm still married. My husband's here. Do you cook for him? Yes. Well, what do you make him for breakfast? And there was a little bit of a long silence. She says, well, he wants pancakes and waffles. And when I don't make him those things, he gets oatmeal for breakfast. Okay. What does he eat for lunch? Well, 3 days a week, he goes to the spaghetti factory with his buddies and eats spaghetti and has a bunch of beers with his buddies. Okay. Who washes his clothes? And I got into this silence again. So you're getting cross-contaminated in the washer and dryer and the food preparation surfaces and the bed and all these other places. And so you're not gluten-free. You may not be putting it in your mouth, but it's all over you. You're breathing it, okay? You're getting it in things other than food because of this association with somebody who's heavily eating gluten, okay? When I say gluten-free, I mean your whole household, renter, roommate, kids, brothers and sisters, spouse, mom and dad, caregiver. Everybody's got to be drop dead gluten-free. If they're not, fire them, kick them out, because it's your life. You will die 25 years early, okay? You'll die 25 to 50 years early if you don't get rid of the gluten association. So hemorrhoids, of course, and I would want to ask this lady, does she have any varicose veins in her legs? Because hemorrhoids are just varicose veins in your anal opening. Okay, probably has a lot of varicose veins inside of her intestines and in her chest and her lungs and all that kind of stuff too. But what worries me, and the odds are she's 70 years old, she has snow white hair or gray hair, and which is also caused by deficiency that also causes varicose veins and hemorrhoids. Mm. Okay, the odds are she has osteoporosis and arthritis because that same deficiency is required to manufacture and maintain healthy connective tissue, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, cartilage, skin. And that's why at age 81, I don't have any wrinkles, okay? And most people think that I'm 45 to 50 years of age because I can outwalk them, outwork them, outstay awake them.
Well, you know, one thing that people don't, I guess they don't link it or something. But whenever you go to the doctor, they're going to give you something for a symptom. And with this, you're treating the body as a whole. It's all linked.
Well, that's correct. See, this is the difference between longevity and the medical system. In longevity, we give you the nutrients necessary to maintain your systems so you don't get the metabolic syndrome, right? They will treat you for high blood pressure. They give you a drug that lowers your blood pressure, but it doesn't get rid of the cause of what's causing the high blood pressure. They will give you a drug that causes your blood sugar to go down, but they don't get rid of the problem that's causing your blood sugar to go up. They help you get rid of your joint pain, okay, but they don't give you what's necessary to rebuild the cartilage in your knees. They say, oh, you can't rebuild the cartilage. Eventually, we're going to have to give you a double knee replacement of $50,000 a knee, okay? So try my system for 90 days, get off of gluten, take the appropriate, our basic program, which is the Healthy Start Pack, and then the secret sauce is some people, and you know this, Rebecca, it's not unusual for some people to have 3, 5, 8, 10, 12, 15, 20 of these, what they call pre-existing conditions. They're all nutritional deficiencies, and they're being, well, my doctor treats me for arthritis. Well, did he rebuild the cartilage? He says, well, you can't regrow cartilage. You can just relieve the pain until it finally gets so bad I got to get a knee replacement. Well, you need to drop that doctor, kick him into the ocean and come see me for 90 days, and I will give you what you need to rebuild your cartilage. I can't rebuild your cartilage, but your body can rebuild your cartilage. You give them the right raw materials. Well, my doctor says it can't be done. Well, let's have a little wager. I mean, I've had people, wager me, and they've lost. It cost them a lot of money because.
Yeah, I mean, 3 months tops, $1,000 of nutrition. Compared to $50,000 for a surgery. I mean,
and you still have the problem in the rest of your body.
And you still have the problem in the rest of the body.
Yeah, when you get a knee replacement, okay, Rebecca, when you get a knee replacement, does that fix all the other joints in your body?
It does nothing for the other joints in the body.
Well, there you go.
All broken down.
Well, then your doctor will get another knee soon, and then he'll get a hip, and then he'll get a shoulder and a rotator cuff. And then, of course, his golf buddy, who's a dentist, will get you because you have osteoporosis of the skull and you get loose teeth and bone loss in your face, all that kind of stuff. Okay, you're getting ringing in the ears, you're getting balance problems, and your skull is squeezing your spinal cord, and you're getting kind of a sciatica in your shoulders and arms. You're getting pain and numbness and burning. You might also, I'll tell you a horrible story. I may have said this before, but it's worth repeating because it goes back to one of these red warning signals. There was a congressman who was a congressman for 25 years in Baltimore, Maryland. Okay, his name was Elijah Cummings. He was 68 years old, and he had AFib, atrial fibrillation, which is kind of a regular heartbeat. He goes to Johns Hopkins. They said, okay, you got AFib. He said, well, I've been dealing with this for a year or so, and it's gradually getting worse. That's why I came in. I'm getting scared. He says, well, you're going to get a stroke or a heart attack or something like that if you don't deal with this. So, you know, we have a procedure for that. He says, well, give it to me. He's 68 years old. So these two cardiologists from Johns Hopkins. Now, this just happened about 10 weeks ago, okay? They put him into Johns Hopkins in the surgery room. They anesthetize him. They cut his chest open his chest up. They take a hot soldering iron. Okay, they take a hot soldering iron and they heat it up red hot. They touch it to his heart to try and kill the part of his heart that's driving his heart to go fast and irregular, and they kill him instantly. They killed this U.S. congressman, and the two doctors walk out and go and have lunch. Yeah. There was no, they didn't have to pay any penalty, okay? Which brings me to, okay, back to this, is your doctor killing you? And that's because what I found out was the third leading cause of death in hospitals in America each year, according to Johns Hopkins, they did a 10-year study, is that the third leading cause of death in hospitals each year in America is medical errors. Number one is heart disease, number two is cancer. And when they say heart disease, did people come up with a heart attack and die in the emergency room with a heart attack? Or did they die of a procedure like Elijah Cummings, okay? Number two is cancer. Did they get cancer and come and die of cancer in the hospital, or did they die from chemotherapy and radiation? Number three is medical errors. Each year in America, now this is Johns Hopkins, not me. This is published in medical journals, right? They said each year in America, the number three cause of death in American hospitals is medical errors. Medical doctors kill, as the word they use, kill 251,000 to 440,000 patients in the hospital each year in America. They don't even get a parking ticket. What businesses could stay in business in America if they kill 251,000 to 440,000 customers in their workplace? Doctors get a walk. And so that's why I couldn't sleep until we made this DVD. It's going to be out in a CD in about a couple of weeks, but the DVD is available now. And the DVD is beneficial because it has pictures of the reports I'm referring to next to my face when I'm talking. Because the pharmacist that was interviewing me, pharmacist Keith, he's an academic, he teaches pharmacy. And of course, he's always a little bit, no, I take that back. He's always very skeptical.
Yeah, yeah, he is. I know him.
And he's a wonderful guy, but he's honest. He's honest. When I can prove what I'm saying, he'll believe it, but I have to prove it.
Right. All right. So next, Dr. Wallach, Sherry, 48-year-old female, 102 pounds, 6 weeks menses, stomach aches all over the last 7 days. They want to do a hysterectomy to see if there's uterus cancer or endometrial cancer, and then removal of the uterus. And of course, she's afraid of a hysterectomy. I would be too.
Well, that's why they call it a hystericlectomy.
Okay.
Okay, so here's what I would have her do. Say, okay, number one, start out with an ultrasound.
I want to add one more thing, Dr. Wallach, and this is something that's going to be helpful to you, is she's been a vegetarian for 25 years.
Oh, thank you. Well, yeah, she's got to get off of gluten immediately, no matter what she's got, right? She's got the red warning signals. Okay, so
she has been gluten-free since April this year. So she's getting there.
Would she give me $1,000 if I find gluten in her life?
I don't know.
Okay, you have to ask her that. Okay, as you know, maybe she's cooking for her son or her grandkids. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
one of those kind of things. Okay, so at any rate, nobody has a menstrual cycle for a month. Okay, so basically, she's hemorrhaging, and is that because, what is it because of? And so we need to do an ultrasound first to see what's going on, as opposed to just whacking her uterus out. At her age, that could be enough to kill her on the surgery table, like they did Elijah Cummings, the congressman. Okay, one of the dead in the hospital kind of thing. So at her age, that would not be my first thing, to put her under anesthesia. Okay, and I'd want to ask her, you might ask her on the phone. You don't even need to look at her. Do you have varicose veins in your legs? Okay. Do you have any aneurysms anywhere that you know of? It could be bleeding from an aneurysm. It could be bleeding from varicose veins in her cervix. Okay.
So she did say they did an ultrasound and they found an ovarian cyst.
Well, that doesn't sound like cancer to me. Okay. And so I would go ahead and send those records to the medical school, to the OBGYN department, and say, would you review this ultrasound and all my records here and give me an opinion? I wouldn't take one opinion there. It's too important. I mean, at her age, it's her life. So she needs to get a second opinion. Well, I might embarrass the doctor. I don't care. Get a second opinion. Okay, when you get an estimate on your house, you go by the first one. No, you get 2 or 3 opinions before you actually put the price up. So it's one of those things. If you're going to do interior decorating, do you just take the first decorator's advice? No, you get 3 or 4 or 5 of them come through and give you something in writing so you can make a decision. Same way with insurance policies. You never take the first one that comes through. You get second opinions. So when it comes to your health and your life and your longevity, you better be getting second, third, and fourth opinions so you don't get killed and be one of those statistics of medical errors.
Right. So what would she take then, Dr. Wallach? What are your recommendations for her?
Okay. Well, right now we can't go wrong by getting her off of all the bad foods, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, butter, and oats. Get her on, I apologize, what does she weigh?
102 pounds, so she's not overweight.
Yeah, 102 pounds. So I'd give her 1 healthy brain and heart pack per month, get her another bottle of selenium so she could take 3 selenium twice a day, a half a dose of everything else twice a day. I'd also have her take the MSM 6 a day, 1 bottle a month, 2, 2, and 2. I'd also have her take the vitamin D3. By the way, one of the things that everybody agrees upon is vitamin D3 deficiency is part of the red warning system red light warning system for COVID, vitamin D3 deficiency. Okay, let's see. What organ system is vitamin D required for?
All of them.
All of them, but particularly the bones. And
yes.
What system in your body makes your immune system?
The digestive?
No. Your bone marrow cavity.
The bone marrow.
So no vitamin D3, no bone marrow cavity. It fills up with scar tissue and fat if you don't have vitamin D3.
So here is a question that I've heard before for you, that cysts can be because of a hormone imbalance. So what would you recommend to correct that for her?
Well, I don't want to be giving her hormones until I find out if she does have cancer or not, right?
Okay.
And so I want second and third opinions on this ultrasound, because all I've heard so far is an ovarian cyst. But I want to hear that from another couple of people, because people are throwing the word cancer around here. And I don't want to be throwing hormones at somebody who's got cancer. But find out if she's got varicose veins of the legs, what color her hair is.
She says no. Says no varicose veins or aneurysms.
Okay, what about white hair? What about white hair?
And it's not a hysterectomy, it's a hysteroscopy. And no white hair.
And she's 70 years old?
No, she's 48.
Oh, 48. Oh, okay. 48.
She's younger than me.
Oh my gosh, okay. Yeah. So let's get another opinion. But in the meantime, she can take all these nutrients, get rid of all the bad stuff so she can absorb the nutrients. And she'll be able to make platelets this way, because if she's hemorrhaging for a month, okay, she may not be making enough platelets. So, a lot of people have to go in once a month to get a B12 shot and an iron shot, and they get a transfusion once a month because they take platelets from somebody else to put in them because they don't make enough platelets. Well, why aren't they making enough platelets? Because their bone marrow is dead because they can't absorb nutrients to feed their bone marrow. Okay, So I think she's probably got osteoporosis already. And people say, well, she's not 60, 70 years old. Well, babies are born with osteoporosis when the mother doesn't have enough nutrition to make a perfect baby, right? So the baby's born with osteoporosis. Oh, he's got all these terrible birth defects. Not genetic, okay? Same way here. So let's get another couple of opinions before we start throwing hormones at her. But this program I just gave you will help her a lot.
Okay, and then that would also, would that address, she's saying that she has a high platelet disorder.
High platelet?
For the last 20 years. And her stomach aches.
Okay. Well, she could have osteoporosis of the skull, squeezing the 10th cranial nerve.
She confirms she does. Yeah, she confirms she does have osteoporosis and rheumatoid arthritis, Dr. Wallach.
Okay. Well, rheumatoid arthritis is an infection on top of bone-to-bone arthritis with a bug called mycoplasma. It's a bug that's halfway between a bacteria and a fungus. She needs to get a 6 weeks prescription of minocycline, which is in the tetracycline family, and it will kill the RA. It'll kill the rheumatoid arthritis bug. It is not an autoimmune disease. It's actually an infection with a particular bug called mycoplasma. It's killable with an antibiotic called minocycline, but she still has to take all these nutrients to rebuild the cartilage and the ligaments and tendons, connective tissue, and the bones.
So she's, let's see. So she said that her uncle tried the minocycline for 6 months and it didn't work.
Did he take it orally?
That would be a good question. And then the next question is,
because
his digestive system working?
Okay, stop. If he took it orally and it didn't work, that meant he wasn't absorbing it because he was eating what? Gluten alert.
Yeah.
And so that's why when people are 65 years old, they've never had diabetes in their life, they don't have any diabetes in their family, they're 65 years old, and the doctors say, okay, you got diabetes, and they give them one of these oral diabetes medications. Doesn't work. So they give them a shot of insulin, it works immediately. Say, okay, you got type 1 diabetes. Well, that doctor should be put in jail for fraud. That person doesn't have type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is a birth defect. You're born with it because mama was missing something when the beta cells are being formed in the islets of Langerhans. You only have 6 instead of 6,000, so you can't make enough insulin. So that's why insulin is required. So why didn't the oral medication work for the 65-year-old for type 2 diabetes?
Because I got
couldn't
a digestive
absorb
issue.
it. You couldn't. Yeah. No, it's not a digestive issue. It's an absorption issue.
Okay.
Okay, you can digest all the food. It just comes out the other end digested.
That's true. That's very true. Very true. All right. Well, Dr. Wallach, we're at the top of the hour. Do you want to take about 5-10 minutes and then we'll come back to questions?
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You know what they say, what Schwarzenegger says, I'll be back.
All right. So I want to thank everybody for being with us here today at the AskDocLive.com. We're covering a lot of things that we do cover, but we also don't cover, going a little deeper. I want to make sure that people are getting the information that they need to be empowered. All right. So absorption. Absorption has a lot to do how your body responds to just life in general. And if you don't have absorption, you're not getting the nutrients that your body needs in order to be able to thrive in life. Barely survive is not okay. All of these things that we have been programmed to think are just part of old age, they're not. They're not. And it's not too late to address those things. So if you have never tried any of Dr. Wallach's products, none of the products that Dr. Wallach has mentioned, we do have a call team that's standing by, waiting to assist you. The number they can be reached at is 855-949-7234. Again, 855-929-7234. Now that I'm saying it, did I say it right, Nasima? All right. Yes, go ahead, Ruth Ellen.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy you're all here. But I just wanted to tell you that I just put in the chat a link to a article that somebody gave me that tells about the minocycline treatment for RA, because most doctors will say they've never heard of it. So I put the link in the chat so that you can copy that. And if you have RA or know somebody who has RA and you want to go to your doctor and have them give you this antibiotic to help with your issue, then I just wanted to make sure you had that information. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And if you notice, that article is coming from rheumatoid.com. So definitely check that out. And as far as the good foods, bad foods list, somebody's asking, where do you find that? Well, if you go to AskDocLive.com, you can have this little pop-up that comes out, and we will send it right to your email so that you have that easily accessible. Just enter your first name, your email address, and bang, you've got it. Yes, Nancy, I see your name. So if you have tried longevity products in the past and you're wanting to get some more, get with the distributor that you originally spoke with, and you can get another order, do a reevaluation of where you're at now so that you can find out exactly what you're missing, so you know exactly what to be addressing. So yes, we address the body as a whole. Yes, there's a foundation, the 90 essential nutrients. That's 60 trace minerals, which in our products, I think there's actually 72, and 12 amino acids, and 16 vitamins, and 3 essential fatty acids. A lot of people don't remember those essential fatty acids, but those are so important for the skin, for brain health, heart health. You don't want to be compromising on any of this, because this is your life, people. This is going to be determining factor of how old you're going to feel when you do get old, or not at all. I mean, I don't feel my age, and I love that, because at 30, I felt 70, and I didn't like that. So again, this is an investment. This is an investment into you, your greatest asset, and we are privileged to be able to be here and provide this information to you, this platform where you are actually able to ask Dr. Wallach questions in regards to your own health and get answers directly from him, the man that's done decades of research and thought so much of the human world that after those decades of research of animals, wanted to see how it relates to the human world, and it has a direct correlation. You're deficient in one thing, you're going to have these symptoms. And the nice thing about it is you address the body as a whole, and the whole system seems to get better. I love it. Absolutely love it. But if you don't know who you've been working with or who took your original order, you can always call our corporate office. We have an amazing group of customer service reps standing there by waiting to take your call as well. That number is 800-982-3189. So here we have Dr. Wallach back with us. Let me go ahead, and he's waving, so he's ready. Dr. Wallach.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, we can. So I have a couple hands up. Let's go ahead and get to Jesse. Jesse, go ahead and unmute yourself. You are on live with Dr. Wallach.
Thanks so much, Rebecca. First of all, Dr. Wallach, just want to say thank you for everything you've done. I've found out about you in Pharmacist Ben about 5 years ago, and the information has, I think, saved my life in so many ways.
Okay, well, thank you for the testimony. How can we help you today?
Well, I'm 29 years old, weigh 165 pounds. And my story is I contracted MRSA about 10 years ago after being on Accutane and multiple antibiotics. And I've still been dealing with abscesses and cysts over the last 10 years. And the 90 essential nutrients that I've been on for the past 4 or 5 years have helped a tremendous amount. But I've still occasionally been dealing with these problems and wanted to find out what I could do for myself.
Okay, when you say have abscesses, are you talking about in your lungs, in your skin, between your toes? What are we talking about?
Skin abscesses, mainly on my lower buttocks area, but also all over my body, chest, and occasional arms and things like that, but mainly on my buttocks.
Okay, so you need to make sure, I mean, double check that you're gluten-free, okay, so you can absorb all the nutrients. And then we have a wonderful product called Colloidal Silver. Colloidal Silver was the antibiotic of the world for thousands of years until 1938, 1938 when they discovered penicillin, okay? And so up until 1938, the antibiotic of the world for thousands of years was colloidal silver. You can put a bottle of colloidal silver on your shelf and 10,000 years later, it'll still work, okay? It never deteriorates. So get our colloidal silver from Youngevity and keep doing what you're doing. And what you want to do is, put a couple of dropperfuls on, say, a cotton ball and touch it to these abscesses or open sores or whatever you got going on there. But I would also make sure that you're washing your underwear in Clorox, okay, something like that. I mean, really, we have a wonderful laundry detergent. Okay, Youngevity has a wonderful laundry detergent. It comes in liquid and powder. And so I double wash all of my stuff because I'm all over the world. You never know where you're going to be and sitting on a couch or who's, sitting there, whatever. And so we use our Youngevity laundry detergent. But then I also, again, when I kind of just being personal here, wipe my bottom. In addition to wiping my bottom when I have a bowel movement, I will take, again, some colloidal silver on a cotton ball and wipe all around the anal area and also on my buttocks and my cheeks and everything. So I don't get any, like a little piece of bowel movement the size of a period on a sentence or the size of a pea or anything like that sitting in my underwear, causing a problem. And I'm traveling all over the place, so I've got to deal with this. So colloidal silver is one of my best friends. And I'm 81 years old and I don't have any of these problems because I'm hyper alert to these possibilities that you're talking about, okay?
All right, thank you. Jesse, did you have another question that you wanted to ask?
I think Jesse's done.
Okay. All right. So next, Mikey did a great job with putting the information in his chat here.
Okay.
So Mikey's 190 pounds, 5'3", 67 years old. He has ringing in his ears, floaters in the eyes. The first 3 fingers on each hand are numb, frequent hiccups, occasional vertigo. His main problem is bone-on-bone knees. He doesn't take any prescriptions or drugs. He doesn't have high blood pressure or diabetes that he knows of. But he doesn't have an appendix or tonsils anymore. So,
okay, this is a classic one. Okay, so everybody listen up. This is a red warning light guy. Okay, number one, 5'3", he should weigh about 100, and for a guy, I'd have him weigh maybe 110 pounds, so he needs to lose 80 pounds. We'll fix that. He's got tinnitus. He's got ringing in the ears. That's osteoporosis of the skull, squeezing the auditory branch of the 8th cranial nerve. He's got floaters in his eyes, which means the lining of the eyes are sloughing off, floating around in there. Let's see here. His fingers are numb, which means his skull is squeezing his spinal cord and his cervical vertebrae are closer together because his discs have shrunk and are causing problems in his hands. And a doctor may say, oh, you have carpal tunnel syndrome, we're going to cut some nerves. But it's happening up in his skull because it's the same thing that's happening in his 10th cranial nerve, okay, as it is happening in his 8th cranial nerve for the tinnitus and ringing in the ears. Now, the fact that he has his tonsils gone and his appendix gone tells you he has celiac disease from his mouth to his anal opening, okay? Celiac disease, irritable bowel syndrome, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, diverticulitis. He's got all those things because of gluten. He's got to get rid of gluten. Gluten alert, gluten alert, gluten alert, okay? Hiccups are caused by squeezing of the 10th cranial nerve, okay? And the recurrent branch of the 10th cranial nerve, which controls the diaphragm. And that goes along with the tinnitus, ringing in the ears, and balance problems. And he's got bone-on-bone arthritis. So he needs to get rid of all the bad foods. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, butter, rye, and oats. And he needs to take 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, a full dose of everything twice a day. I want him to also take 2 bottles a month of the MSM, so he can take 9 a day, 3 with each meal. Okay, and that's going to help rebuild his bones, including his skull. The normal skull, Rebecca, is 1/4 of an inch thick. But when you get these sort of things, you're getting ringing in the ears, you're getting hiccups and tinnitus and floaters and that kind of stuff, and numbness in his hands and fingers, his skull has got to be 1 inch thick, okay? It's called Paget's disease, which I'm changing to Wallach's disease. Okay, people were kind of arrogant, Wallach, you know, changing somebody else's name. Well, he thought it was a genetic disease. And it'll go another 1,000 years and the doctors will think it's all genetic disease if I don't challenge them. So I'm going to change it to my name, Wallach's disease, and, you know, put it in the second printing of this one, okay? Wallach's disease. And I want controversy because I want to prove to them that it's a nutritional deficiency and not a genetic disease. Otherwise, there'll be millions and millions of people who will die early, suffer miserably because of misinformation. Let's see here. Oh, and for the weight loss, I want him to get a couple of boxes each month of our keto caramel bars. I want him to start out with 1 meal a day, a keto meal. Most people cannot finish a full bar. They can only eat a half of one. So those, a couple of boxes will last him hopefully a couple of months, but it might only last him a month. I think there's 12 in a box. But 1 meal a day, start out with 1 meal a day. And he could go, you know, like on the weekends, he could do 2 meals a day out of the 3. Okay, or maybe if he's retired, he could go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 meals a day, and the rest of the week, 1 meal a day kind of thing. But he will lose a half a pound to 2 pounds a day, and he'll keep the weight off as long as he does everything that I say. And all these problems will go away. The ringing in the ear goes away, the hiccups go away, the floaters will go away, and let's see here, the finger numbness will go away. All that stuff goes away. And I'm sure he has other things which he hasn't mentioned. He may have loose teeth and all that kind of stuff. And he may have other stuff he's just not mentioning, like skin problems. He didn't mention any skin problems, but I would venture to say that anybody who has his tonsils out and his appendix out, and he's got that much gluten stuff going on, the odds are he's got skin problems as well, you know, eczema, dermatitis, psoriasis, rosacea. But that'll all go away.
So one thing I want to note, though, because with the keto meals, you said, and listen to everything else I say, that includes the 10 good foods, bad foods.
That's correct.
We can't take a keto meal and then eat like garbage the rest of the time. We need to really pay attention to what we're putting in our mouth.
No, you got to get rid of all the bad foods, fried foods, processed meats, oils, glutens, wheat, butter, rye, oats, and sugar. It's all got to go permanently.
Permanent. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Dr. Wallach, in the beginning of the call, you were talking about, or with our first person, we were talking about hemorrhoids. And I know Fumi, one of my friends, is in Qatar, and she didn't have a good signal. So if you could just go over the hemorrhoids protocol one more time,
sure,
that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, well, hemorrhoids tend to be looked at from a pathology standpoint as varicose veins of the veins in the rectum, and anal opening. And so almost always people with hemorrhoids also have varicose veins. They might have white grain silver hair. They might have aneurysms. They might have lots of wrinkles. and they may have had a facelift, or they use a lot of creams and things to try and tighten up the wrinkles of their face, that kind of stuff, because that same deficiency causes all of those problems. Okay, and so they need to take a Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. If they only weigh 110 pounds, they need to get another bottle of our selenium, not any selenium, our selenium, because our selenium has 5 other cofactors added to it, one of which is that nutrient, okay, that will help you get rid of the hemorrhoids, varicose veins, white hair, aneurysms, all that kind of stuff. But you still have to stay away from the bad stuff. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils or glutens. You take 1 Healthy Brain and Heart Pack per 100 pounds of body weight. And if you only weigh 110, 120 pounds, I would add another bottle of selenium, because one of those 5 cofactors is that nutrient we're looking for. And people will say, well, why won't you tell me? Well, because you'll run to Walgreens and look for that nutrient. You might be able to find it someplace. And you take it for 6 months and nothing happens because you didn't have the other 89 nutrients to make it happen. And so I learned a long time ago, people say, well, yeah, my husband did exactly as you said, and 3 months after he started doing what you said, he died. I said, did you give him everything? No, he just took that nutrient. You didn't give him all 90? No, he just wanted to take that nutrient, you said. Okay, well, I stopped telling people what the nutrient was. And that's why I have all these books. If you really want to find out what the nutrient is, you can go to my website, drjwallach.com, drjwallach.com, all lowercase, drjwallach.com. Has all my books and CDs and DVDs in there. And you can find all these answers to your heart's content. But I'm not going to broadcast this over the air to millions and millions of people and do a Zoom to millions and millions of people and just give them the nutrient. You notice I didn't tell you what the nutrient was for diabetes. Okay, because again, I've had so many terrible things happen when people try to just take that nutrient instead of the whole picture. We are a whole. We need all this stuff. And that's why when you get the red warning light, you deal with all of the issues. You don't deal with just one. You deal with all the issues. Get the nutrients to your immune system so your immune system can protect you from COVID. And the red warning light will have earned its dinner, so to speak.
Yes, and there was another question that you answered, and I want to make sure that they hear this, is Dr. Wallach is saying the biggest hammer in the box, and that's our brain and heart pack. That's the pack you want to get. That includes the secret sauce that has those nutrients in it. And again, I love the fact, Dr. Wallach, that your products synergistically work together.
Well, yeah, we spent a lot of time dealing with that. And this is where my degree in agriculture came in, because, you know, we don't have health insurance for animals, even farm animals. We have life insurance for expensive racehorses, right? But we don't have health insurance for a veterinarian to come out every day and treat pigs for mulberry heart disease, stuff like that. What we did was we learned what the problem was, and we put those nutrients in their food, and we've eliminated 600 different diseases that still plague humans. We've eliminated all these diseases in animals. I learned that when I was 9 years old. Why are we doing that for animals and not for people? Well, because doctors like to make a living, and so they treat the symptoms, whereas veterinarians treat the cause. There's 2 totally different things. And so my degree in agriculture taught me how to formulate products so that the ingredients were complementary, okay? And you could put in nutrients that would treat 5 and 6 and 8 and 10 and 20 or 30 or 100 different diseases all into one alfalfa pellet, okay? And so that's where I learned how to do all that. And so then I had to do the research, okay, what nutrients missing when you get diabetes? What nutrients missing when you have congestive heart failure? Congestive heart failure is a deficiency of a single nutrient. Doctors will put you on diuretics, get rid of all the fluid. They'll put you on heart medicine, and they'll say, you know, I'm going to be looking for a heart because, you know, we may want to wind up doing a heart transplant. And it's very simple. You get on the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, you get on the de-stress capsules, the Ultimate Niacin Plus, get rid of all the bad foods. And, you know, people who have congestive heart failure for years and years and years and years, and it goes away in weeks because it's a simple nutritional deficiency.
Right. All right, so we have Maureen with her hand up patiently. Maureen, go ahead and unmute yourself. You are on live with Dr. Wallach. You should be unmuted. All you have to do is say hello.
Hello.
All right, well,
We may have to go somewhere else until she
we're
figures
going to have
it
to
out.
go Yeah, so James has a question. Will it be possible in the future to have a supplement that would aid absorption of the nutrients for cases where isolation from cross-contamination is impossible?
That's difficult to say because there's many factors involved there. Because gluten, okay, whether you absorb it or just eat it and it goes out the other end, damages the lining of your small intestine, okay? And it's a drip, drip, drip thing. It doesn't happen switch on, switch off, okay? And the longer you eat gluten, the bigger percentage of damage you have in your intestines. And that's why people wind up with all these diseases, these metabolic syndrome things, you know, when they're 50 years old and older, because they've been eating gluten for 50 years. And you very rarely see a little kid 3 years old with congestive heart failure and kidney disease where they need dialysis and high blood pressure and diabetes and all that kind of stuff. You rarely see little bitty kids with that problem because they're still able to absorb nutrients. Okay, well, once they get to be in their 20s and 30s, they're starting, maybe 50% of their intestines are dead. And depending on what they're eating and where they're eating, maybe you just remember the nutritional minerals do not occur in a uniform blanket around the crust of the earth. Nutritional minerals occur in veins like gold and silver and coal. So you can eat perfectly. You can eat a perfectly balanced diet and still die of 25 different nutritional deficiencies. And that's why I say any doctor who says don't take any supplements, don't waste your money, just eat well, you can get everything you need by eating well, that doctor should be put in jail as a serial killer. And that's why we came out with the DVD, and next week we'll have the CD, Is Your Doctor Killing You? And the answer is yes. If he's giving you nutritional advice to eat well and don't take supplements, that doctor should have his license taken away from him. And I'll be happy to go to court with that one, and I will win every time. All I have to do is call 10 pathologists in from a medical school and as witnesses.
All right. Well, it looks like Jesse's hand got put back up. So Jesse, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi again, Dr. Wallach. Sorry, it wouldn't let me unmute earlier. So regarding the colloidal silver, just wanted to ask if there was anything that I could do internally as well as applying it topically, and also if there'd be any other kind of supplements that I could take to help heal my skin. After contracting the MRSA, it seemed like my skin chemistry changed about 10 years ago.
Okay, well, Jesse, you have to get rid of all the gluten so you can maximize absorption.
I have been totally gluten-free for the last 8 years, thanks to your advice.
Okay, well, do you have a roommate?
I do, my wife.
Is she gluten-free?
She's gluten-free as well, yes.
What kind of work do you do? Don't tell me you work in a bakery.
No, I do not. I'm actually a virtual health coach, nutrition and exercise coach. Okay,
good. All right, yeah, well, look around because I'd read labels. There are no such things as gluten-free oats. There are no such things as gluten-free oats. Anybody who tries to sell you gluten-free oats should be put in jail. Okay, because the gluten in oats is called gliadin. If you think you're beating the system by eating gluten-free oats, you're going to have abscesses all over your skin. Would you look at that? Okay.
Yeah. No wheat, rye, barley, oats. Thanks to you.
Okay. And so if you're going to drink beer, that's fine, but it's got to be Japanese or Chinese beer made from rice.
Yeah. No beer as well.
Okay. Yeah, I drink wine, made from grapes and berries. I don't drink any Scotch bourbon or rye whiskey because it's all made from gluten, right?
Right.
But at any rate, yeah, for your skin, you got to be gluten-free, but then also I would throw in the MSM for connective tissue, including skin health. Topically on these, bumps and blisters and abscesses and open little ulcers and things, you can put the colloidal silver on them. But if you're taking your 90 essential nutrients and you're throwing in the MSM and you're throwing in the collagen peptides, and it wouldn't hurt to throw in some of our antioxidants. We have some wonderful ones. We've got the pollen burst with SOD in it, superoxide dismutase. We got the cell shield RTQ. We have Z radical, which is everybody's favorite. So Z radical is a liquid. And you need to kind of attack this from many different directions because somehow you're either not getting the nutrients you need to maintain the skin health, or you're getting cross-contaminated by somebody in your workplace or whatever. The patients you see are all vegans and are eating gluten and you're touching them. You're getting something somewhere, because if you have a constant chronic skin issues, you're getting cross-contaminated with gluten.
Okay, thanks so much.
Hey, you bet.
All right. Next. Oh, we just had a hand up and it went away. Okay, so let's go to the next comment. So Mary is 115 pounds, 5'1", 72 years old. She's heard all of the ads about leaky gut syndrome. So she's not eating green beans, legumes, tomatoes, peppers, quinoa, and many more vegetables. No gluten. She is taking the healthy body pack, sweeties, enzymes, eat less, and stay thin. Is there anything? Tell us about leaky gut, Dr. Wallach.
Okay, now you say she's 115 or 150 pounds?
115.
Okay, 72 years old. Okay, well, leaky gut syndrome is a gluten problem, okay? And the gut things, in other words, she's losing nutrients and things going the wrong direction, into her intestines, which are coming out the back end. And so, again, she's getting, if she thinks she's gluten-free, then she's getting cross-contaminated by her spouse or kids or grandkids or caregiver or somebody. Because if you're a drop-dead gluten-free and you're taking the 90 essential nutrients, leaky gut syndrome goes away. Leaky gut syndrome translates to celiac disease, irritable bowel syndrome, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, colitis, diverticulitis. All those things could be called leaky gut syndrome, okay? And so the bottom line is she and everybody in her environment, including the dog and the cat and the bird and the fish, I find a lot of people, they give their dogs dry dog food and the first ingredient in it is dried oats, okay? And so then they let the dog sit on their lap and lick them in the face, or getting oatmeal all over their face and inhaling it and everything when they're feeding, you know, dumping the stuff out of the bag to the dog. Mm-hmm. And so if she thinks she's got leaky gut syndrome, I don't know why she's thinking that. Does she have diarrhea? Does she have gas? But she should be able to, if she's gluten-free and her environment's gluten-free, she should be able to absorb nutrients. Again, one healthy brain and heart pack, use the big hammer. One healthy brain and heart pack per 100 pounds of body weight. I would throw in the MSM, 3 of those twice a day, 1 bottle a month. Vitamin D3 for somebody that age, very, very important. Vitamin D3, 3 of those twice a day. Just remember that one of the factors in the metabolic syndrome that cause you to be susceptible to serious complications and death from COVID-19 is vitamin D3 deficiency. Okay, so she needs that. And then, let's see here. That's where we got to go. She's got to do some investigation.
All right. And again, I want to invite any of you, if this is the first time that you are here with us today and you want to try some of the products, get with the person that shared this program with you. If there was an email, you can respond to the email. (949) 7234. And Dr. Wallach, we have another hand up here, and they're going to have to forgive me. Is it Nwesica? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes.
You are on live with Dr. Wallach.
Yes, hi, Dr. Wallach.
Hello.
Thank you for everything that you're doing. My question is, how do we get the DVD? Is your doctor killing you? And also, are there any clinics that follow your treatment method?
Okay, we have actually quite a few naturopathic doctors, pharmacists, medical doctors, DOs, people who aren't licensed healthcare givers, so you can't call them a clinic. But, you know, I have people who've been with me for 30, 40, 50 years. They have a high school graduation or a high school graduate degree, high school degree. But they've been with me for 30 years and they know more than doctors do. And they see, you know, they can't do surgery, obviously. But when it comes to these common health issues and the metabolic syndrome and the red warning systems and all that kind of stuff, these individuals, they see 1,000 people or more a month. Some of them see 10,000 people a month, and they're high school graduates. And they see these people out of their house. And so if you're interested in becoming one of those kind of people, we'd love to have you. So you can, you know, call the numbers here. And you can call the number if you don't have anybody that you're working with. Call the number for the show, and Rebecca will give you the number. And of course, if you want my DVDs and books and that kind of stuff and CDs and so forth, you can go to drjwallach.com, drjwallach.com. It's all lowercase, drjwallach.com. And the books and CDs and DVDs, I came up with those, gosh, it's got to be 35 years ago. And the reason I did was I was seeing so many people I'm seeing 300 people a night in lectures, and then I had to have people there, people wanting to buy product and buy books and things lining up. So I had to come up with these tools so that when my 2 million associates, who are kind of my distributors, are giving out information, they're going to give the same answer to the same question. Let's see here. Rebecca, do you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
We hear you loud and clear.
Okay, because it went dark there. Okay. So at any rate, so I want everybody to give the exact same answer to the same question. And that way, that's why we're effective, is because everybody's giving the same answer to the same question. I don't want people to say, oh gosh, I've never heard of this one, I better just make up something. No, you follow what works based on science. And of course, we've been doing this for so long. And another day we got to talk about Tesla. I was their featured speaker, as one of their 5 featured speakers last year at their annual meeting, Tesla, okay, on their Extraordinary Technology Conference series. And that's because we do things that nobody else does, because we were seeing these red warning lights. I was seeing these red warning lights in 62, when I first ran into it. Ran into the first mass die-off in America from pollution when I was a pathology student. I was only 22 years old. Wrote it up. It was published in 3 scientific journals. As I was only 22 years old, I found something that nobody else on earth had found. Okay, and so I figured, okay, I know what I need to do here. I'm destined to go that direction because everybody else is looking at it. They just didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. So, and I want to expound on that as far as, building the associates that are working with Dr. Wallach. There is an amazing array of people that have found Dr. Wallach's information, and like myself, started taking the products, totally turned their lives around, turned their health around. And I can't stop telling people about it. So if that's something that you're interested in helping us do, you can respond to the invitation that invited you to this call, get with the person that invited you to this call, or you can also, I believe, John T., is there a link on the AskDocLive.com that if they're wanting to get information about becoming a distributor that they can go to?
Yes, you can actually become a distributor if you go into the store there. They have a variety of enrollment products available, and there's some additional information there. It's usually, if you have a relation, definitely if you have a relationship with an existing distributor, talk to them. You do, it's good to sort of be part of a team. You would be essentially part of our overall organization if you signed up through the enrollment offerings on AskDocLive.com. But it's always nice to have a friendly face when you're starting out, and
you're gonna have a coach.
Right, exactly.
And
Thank you very much.
I love the fact.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, anytime you get into a franchise, or you're buying a business, so to speak, there's a fee every year. $10,000, $100,000, whatever it is for your franchise fee. Ours is $50 a year, which is $4.20 a month. $50 a year, which is tax deductible. Okay, that's all it costs to maintain your longevity franchise, aka distributorship. Okay, and so we set this up so everybody could afford it. If you're unemployed, I can get that many empty cans and empty bottles on the street and turn that in at the end of the month and get $50. That's easy. Okay, and so it's just once a year, $50, and to maintain your distributorship. You can retire with it. Okay, in other words, when your time comes to retire, you still maintain your income stream you've created over the 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years you've been working with longevity. You can maintain that, put that on top of your Social Security and any retirement money you get from any other companies, and then put it in your will when you die. That goes to your kid or your church or whoever you want to give it to, your dog or whatever. Just make sure somebody has been working with you for a year or so they know how the mechanism works. And you'll be able to make that all that effort you put into building your longevity business go through generation after generation for 1,000 generations, and it'll never go away. It'll continue to increase because all they have to do is pay $50 a year, which is tax deductible.
That's right. Now, Dr. Wallach, here's a super hard question for you. Okay. Nancy wants to know 3 books, your top 3 books that you would recommend to reading first.
Oh, reading first. Okay. Top 3 books would be, right now with all the COVID things and everything going on, I would go with Let's Play Doctor. Okay, Let's Play Doctor. I'd go with Epigenetics. Yeah, I'd go with Epigenetics. There you go. And I'd go with Hell's Kitchen. There you go. Those would be my top 3 right now. Okay, because they cover all of the stuff you're going to suffer from. Okay, the metabolic syndrome, and puts you at huge risk for contracting a serious, with many complications or even death, COVID infection. And so that's why I picked those 3 books. You can do a lot of this stuff yourself for $1.50 for a test strip for your urine, for your blood. You can buy them in bottles of 3 or 5 or so forth. It's just $1.50 for each test strip. You don't have to pay $100 to go to a doctor's office. You don't have to pay $200 for the laboratory fees. You know, your family gets together and you buy a blood pressure cuff, which lasts forever, and everybody can get their blood pressure every day for nothing. Okay. And, you know, it'll cost you $1.50 to see if you have diabetes or not. And you can do it yourself. And so that's the value of these books and our system. And of course, you put oil in your car to prevent engines from burning up. You watch for the red warning light to prevent the engine from burning up. If the red warning light comes on, you investigate, find out what's going on, and fix it so your engine doesn't burn up. If you do the same thing for yourself, you take your 90 essential nutrients and stay away from the bad stuff before you get sick. I'm 81 years old and I don't have any pre-existing conditions. How many 81-year-old guys can say they don't have any pre-existing conditions? Well, there's darn few, probably not many, probably not any except me, okay? Usually somebody who's 81 years old, they're gonna have a little bit of blood pressure, they'll have maybe some arthritis, they'll have some ringing in the ears or all that kind of stuff. They may have some dental problems. I do have one tooth missing. It was knocked out in a fight. I was fighting 3 guys who were trying to steal something from me, and but they lost all their teeth.
You never cease to amaze me. And he even carries his own bags when he travels.
Well, yeah. Of course, I spent 27 years in the military, so I know self-defense, all kind of stuff. I wrestled and played football at the university level and that kind of stuff. And so, but I was in the Army for 7 years, in the Air Force for 20 years, all over the world, doing things that I still can't talk about. But so I know self-defense. At 81 years old, I can still take care of myself.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for your service in the military and for continuing to serve us.
You're very kind. Thank you.
Providing us information, Dr. Wallach. You don't know how much I appreciate you.
I retired as a lieutenant colonel.
Oh. Thank you. Thank you. Now, so Nancy has asked, how do you raise your hand? So I'm going to go ahead and, Nancy, if you have a question, go ahead and unmute yourself. And for those of you who are on with us and you also want to know how to raise your hand, if you click on participants at the bottom of your screen, you're going to have a little option that says raise hand. Just click on that and that will then allow you to raise your hand and be put into the queue for asking Dr. Wallach questions. So looks like she doesn't want to come unmuted.
Yes.
Oh, there you are. Go ahead, Nancy. You're on live with Dr. Wallach.
Hi there. Okay, so I'm
Hi.
64. I am 5'4", 115 pounds, and probably the thing that makes me look older than anything else is my upper arms. They're just in the middle. They're kind of wrinkly and they're flabby, and I've had a very sedentary job and don't exercise and all that. But I'm just wondering, is there some way other than spending 5 hours at the gym lifting weights, is there any kind of supplement that just will
Yes.
help?
Well, you want to go to drjwallach.com and get the CD called Exercise Without Supplementation is Suicide. So you're probably still alive because you didn't exercise. Because of all your problems, if you exercise, it'd probably kill you, okay? So yeah, you want to get a hold of that CD, Exercise Without Supplementation is Suicide, and I go into the all the autopsies I've done in athletes and so forth, all the athletes I've saved by, getting them on all the nutrients. So let me ask you a couple of questions. Do you have any skin problems, any eczema, dermatitis, or psoriasis?
I have something funky on my thumb, some kind of dermatitis there. It seems to be
Okay.
a seasonal thing.
Okay. Do you have any ringing in your ears, any tone, like a...
Nope.
Oh, okay, good. Do you have any bowel problems, constipation, diarrhea?
Yeah, diarrhea sometimes.
Okay, have you been diagnosed with diverticulitis or ulcerative colitis or
Nope.
anything like that?
Nope.
Okay, but you do have diarrhea once in a while.
At least.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, at least, okay. Let's see here. Do you have any other issues? You said you didn't have any diabetes or prediabetes or high blood pressure?
No, I don't, but I think I have the osteoporosis of the skull.
Okay. Do you have dental problems?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, you can have bone loss and receding gums and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Loose
I don't
teeth.
think my teeth seem to be fine at this point.
Okay, good. All right. So let's go with what we got here. What you want to do is make sure you're drop dead and everybody in your household is drop dead gluten-free. No wheat, no barley, rye, and oats, okay? There are no such things as gluten-free oats. And then at 115 pounds, I'd have you take one healthy brain and heart pack per month. One healthy brain and heart pack per month. I get another bottle of selenium. One bottle of selenium comes with it because I want you to take 3 selenium twice a day, not only for the selenium, but for the cofactors that are in our selenium, okay? And then I also want you to take our MSM. Go ahead and get 1 bottle a month of the MSM so you can take 3 of those twice a day to help with connective tissue in your skin. It'll tighten up the wrinkles in your skin, okay, it'll help with that. Also, I want you to get vitamin D3, take 3 of those twice a day. That'll reduce your risk of COVID. It'll also reduce your risk of osteoporosis of the skull and all that kind of stuff. If you have it already, it'll help you resolve it. I would also take our glucogel. You can take 115 pounds to get 1 bottle a month of the glucogel capsules. Go ahead and take 3 or 4 of those twice a day. And then, we're on every Friday morning, and you're going to have a great testimony, and you'll help a lot of people with your testimony. So do give us a call.
Okay, and I did start my white hair. I've started getting gray, white within the past year, so that's a selenium deal.
Well, it's not the selenium deal. It's one of the cofactors that's in our selenium. Okay. So that's okay. And then, so that's very good. Do you have any varicose veins in your legs?
No.
Okay, good. Well, that's coming if you don't do something about it. But yeah, if you have white, gray, and silver hair, there's one nutrient that causes that because it causes a breakdown of the elastic fibers in the walls of the veins. No matter where the veins are at, it causes a breakdown of the connective tissue in the walls of the arteries. And that was a Michael Jackson problem. Remember Michael Jackson, the singer?
Sure.
Okay. Well, he died at 51 from a ruptured aortic aneurysm. He had snow white hair. He's a black guy. He had snow white hair. And that's why he wore a wig. He lost all his skin color. He had vitiligo. He looked white. And so he had garish makeup, lipstick, and all these rouge and stuff all over his face. So people thought he was just wearing his makeup for his singing stuff. And he also wore his gloves. He wore long sleeves and turtlenecks, and he wore gloves with jewels on them, when he held the microphone, all the teenagers saw the jewels in his gloves and thought that was just part of his getup for his show. But he was covering his snow white skin. And none of the doctors picked up on it. And so he died of a ruptured aortic aneurysm at age 51. When, you know, if he'd have come to me, I'd have rebuilt him and he'd still be alive today.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right. So this might be our last person today, and we have.
Okay.
And then I have one question.
Sure.
So Donna, go ahead and unmute yourself. You were on live with Dr. Wallach.
Hi, Dr. Wallach.
Hi. I
I've got a-
apologize. Wait a minute. Was that Jana or Donna?
Donna.
Donna. D-O-N-A, named after my Uncle Don.
Okay.
My question is animal related. You're talking about being gluten-free. The food I get, it says grain-free. Is that considered gluten-free?
It can be, yeah, because gluten comes in grains. So yeah,
Grain
it
and
can
grain.
be.
And the vets are also saying that that grain-free can cause brain issues or issues with the animals. Is that true?
Well, have you ever heard of the science of crapola?
That's what I thought. Okay.
But we do have we do have a supplement, and it's called Arthrodex. It's a multiple. Okay, it's 1 scoop for 20 pounds of body weight for dogs and cats and rats and rabbits and parrots and things like that. It's called Arthrodex. 1 scoop a day per 20 pounds of body weight. We also have the EFAs and EFA pluses. EFAs are essential fatty acids, and EFA pluses are essential fatty acids from fish. And so, how much does your dog weigh?
About 65 pounds. And I also have cats, and I'm wondering about.
You give them the same thing, okay?
And my cats love it. I give that to them for sure.
What, the Arthrodex?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can give them the EFA pluses made out of fish oil. They will just love those. They'll just snarf them down.
Yeah, done that. What
Okay.
about the kidney issues? Is there the difference between what the cats can take and what the dogs can take for kidney issues, kidney failure?
Okay. Well, for kidney failure, I would go ahead and give them the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. For a 65-pound dog, I'd give that dog 2 of those tablets a day. And you know, you can try throwing them in the food, and if he just glums them down, that's fine. If not, you have to open his throat twice a day and throw him down there and rub his little throat and hug him, and he'll be looking forward to those pills, so you hug him and rub his throat. Okay, same way with the cat. You can Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. I don't like pharmaceuticals for kidney issues and blood pressure issues in animals. I like to do it with nutrition.
With the niacin plus, is something you can give them? If they're what kid should I not give them? Is what I guess what I'm saying.
Okay, well, which of the 90 essential nutrients do our cats and dogs not need?
That's a
They need
good
them all.
question.
They need them all. All vertebrates require all 90 essential nutrients, whether you're a dog or a cat or a human or a snake or a fish or a whale or a parrot or a monkey or a giraffe. All vertebrates require the 90 essential nutrients. And that's why my thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure, because I did my 20,000 autopsies, 17,000 and some change were on 454 species of zoo animals and 3,000 were on humans. And then I did my follow-up book on human autopsies, 8,000 additional human autopsies, 1,700 of which were on kids under the age of 10, published in 3 languages. So you can look it up. The Biology of Trace Element Research is the English version. So you can look at 1990. So you can look it up. Wallach, you didn't do 1,700 autopsies of kids. Oh yeah, I did. Actually more than that, but that was that one study.
All
Okay,
right.
Thank you very much.
you bet.
Okay, so Dr. Wallach, we've talked about, you know, having thyroid disease, but what about people who have had their thyroids removed?
Okay, well, they're usually going to be
cancer or
on,
whatever.
yeah, well, whatever reason, if they've had their thyroid removed, the doctors, I guarantee, are going to be giving them some thyroxine or some drug to replace lost thyroid. But I would also give them, or in addition to getting rid of all the bad foods, the fried foods, the processed meats, the oils, the glutens, the wheat, butter, iron, oats, and sugar, I would also get them off of cruciferous vegetables. Okay, I know cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and kale. Not only did it interfere with the function of the thyroid, but it also interfered with the recipients of the thyroid hormone. Okay, that interaction between the hormone and that receiver tissue. Okay, and so no cruciferous vegetables. Then, of course, we have what we call Ocean's Gold, okay, which is made from sea vegetables and kale, not kale, excuse me, sea vegetables, algae, that kind of stuff, seaweed and so forth, and be 3 twice a day per 100 pounds of body weight of the Ocean's Gold. Okay, I take those just for prevention, 3 twice a day just for prevention of the Ocean's Gold. And again, you know, you can, I test my urine with my $1.50 test strips. I test my blood, stick in my finger. I do a hair analysis once a year. I don't have any absorption problems. I make plenty of platelets. I make plenty of red blood cells. I make plenty of white blood cells. I make plenty of antibodies. I don't have any skin issues. I don't have any bone issues. I don't have any memory issues of any consequence. There's some things I don't want to remember. Okay.
Very true. Okay, I think this might be the last one.
Okay.
So Paul is a grandfather. He just last month had a grandbaby who was born at 6 pounds, now is 8 pounds, diagnosed with cystic fibrosis.
Mm-hmm.
Mom is primarily breastfeeding. The MD, strangely enough, is recommending giving the baby table salt. And he's curious about, is there any test to confirm that this is what the baby actually has, and what should be given to the baby and mama for the best possible chance?
Okay, for the best possible results, mama, especially since she's breastfeeding the baby, needs to be gluten-free. Everybody in the household needs to be gluten-free. No wheat, butter, and oats, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no sugar. And then mom should be taking 1 healthy brain and heart pack per 100 pounds of body weight. Okay, she only weighs 120 pounds, 130 pounds. I'd give her another bottle of selenium so she could take 3 selenium twice a day. Okay. And I would also throw in the EFAs, 3 twice a day per 100 pounds of body weight. And the baby needs to have what we call kids toddy. It's a liquid supplement for kids. Okay, it was actually invented for cystic fibrosis kids. It's called kids toddy, like hot toddy. Just follow the directions on the label for dosage. I would also give that baby 1 EFA a day and 1 EFA plus per day. Just puncture the EFA plus and squeeze it into the formula, the kids toddy, and the mother should be taking 3 of the EFAs twice a day and 3 of the EFA pluses twice a day if she's still breastfeeding the baby. Okay, and but everybody's got it in the household, including the dog and the cat and grandpa and all the other brothers and sisters, dad. Everybody's got to be drop dead gluten-free. And these kids do very, very well. I'm the one that found the first non-human case of cystic fibrosis published. They fired me because they said cystic fibrosis wasn't genetic. And I was working for NASA at the Yerkes Primate Center and also the Grady Memorial Hospital for the medical school there in Atlanta, Georgia, as a pathologist. I ran into the first non-human case of cystic fibrosis. I sent out samples all around the world, but I didn't tell them it was from a monkey. I just said, I think this slide is from cystic fibrosis. What do you think? And all the experts said, oh yeah, this is a classic example of cystic fibrosis. And then when I told them it was a monkey instead of a human, they were all excited. Okay, we'll get a colony going. We can do more research. I said, well, it's better than that. I know what causes it because I did biopsy on the other 24 baby monkeys in the colony that had 24 sets of mothers and fathers. They weren't related in any way, shape, or form. Okay, yet they all had cystic fibrosis, and that's because the psychiatrist who was running that colony, okay, actually was tinkering around with the diet and created a diet that would create cystic fibrosis. And so we've been able to reverse it in the other 24 babies that didn't die yet. And so here's my paper, we're going to publish it. And they said, no, you're fired. And that's when I went back to school and became a physician because I knew they were so screwy. And so today, through all my, we said this earlier, through all my lawsuits against the FDA and federal court, we've eliminated cystic fibrosis. We've eliminated muscular dystrophy. We've eliminated crib death, okay? And so if this granddaddy and so forth, if they do exactly as I say, this kid should within 90 days be totally free of cystic fibrosis. It's not a genetic thing. It's a simple nutritional deficiency. And so mama needs to be drop dead gluten-free so she can absorb right. She needs to take 1 healthy brain and heart pack per 100 pounds of body weight. And if she weighs less than 150 pounds, she needs to get another bottle of selenium so she can take 3 of those twice a day. Again, it's not only the selenium that's necessary here, but it's also is necessary for those other cofactors. So it's not just selenium. So don't run out to the store and buy selenium and do that and expect that alone is going to work. You need the whole program.
That's right. That's right. So thank you so much, Dr. Wallach. We are coming up to the top of the hour. We greatly appreciate your time. I know last week we kept you a couple minutes over. So this week we're going to let you out on time.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you, John T. Thank you, Nasima. Okay, and I'm sure there's other people there which I need to thank.
And Ruth Ellen.
Ruth Ellen, thank you, Ruth Ellen. Yeah, we got a great team here, and we'll see everybody next Friday. And of course, we have a lot to do in between now and then, a lot of people to save, a lot of people to help with their health problems. And if you're interested in doing this as a business, it's something you can go on through your family with generation after generation after generation. Costs $50 a year for your franchise, $4.20 a month. I mean, we're not talking $10,000 for a franchise here. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. And again, if you are interested in having this as part of your business, calling in life to share hope with other people, you can even just do a reply to the invitation to this call with the comment of business information, please. And one of our team's members will get back with you on that. Again, if you would like to try any of these products and you've never tried them before, we do have a call team standing by at 855-949-7234. You can even go to AskDocLive.com and there is a store there. And don't forget to visit Dr. Wallach's website, www.drjwallach, and make sure you spell it right, WALLACH.com, for all of his publications. And we have some of them, we kind of made it easy that some of them we have available on the AskDocLive.com.
Wow, go for it, yeah.
So, yeah, so we are 100% into spreading your message, Dr. Wallach, making this information and these products available to anyone and everyone. So
yeah, well, thank you. I know we've carried this to the Ukraine now because Ted, you know, is in the Ukraine.
Yeah,
and we're working in the Ukraine right now. Well, he's there.
that's awesome. And I signed somebody up in Qatar.
Well, there you go.
Last week.
His name wasn't Ellis, is it?
No, Fumi. So one of my distributors, just doing fantastic all around the world, in Nigeria. And I'm excited for November, Dr. Wallach. I briefly spoke about this a couple weeks and having a health summit and featuring you and your products to the medical community in South Africa.
Well, I can actually speak Afrikaans. I spent 2 years in South Africa on the White Rhino Conservation Project. I didn't speak English for 2 years because I was speaking Zulu, Matabele, and Afrikaans.
That's impressive. So you'll be able to do some connecting with people and
really yes,
impact.
Okay. Yeah, remind them that I spent 2 years in Umfolozi and Shishlui Game Reserve in South Africa catching white rhino. Caught 200 of them and shipped them back to the States. There was only 470 left back then. And they were afraid they were going to go extinct within a year or so because they were being poached heavily for their horns. And I caught 200 of them, sent them here. So if you see a white rhino in a zoo or a wild animal park, it's either one that I caught or offsprings of the one that I caught. We have 25,000 now because of our conservation efforts. So I'm very proud of that. It's in my book called Rhino Express. Rhino Express.
Perfect name.
Which is in the drjwallach.com.
Yep. Awesome. Fabulous. Well, again, thank you so much, everyone, for taking these 2 hours out of your Friday. We love you. We appreciate you. Again, get with the person that invited you to the call or the email that sent you the invitation if you want further information. We are here for you. We are going to go ahead and Dr. Wallach, if you want to go ahead and say goodbye, we will see you next week.
I'm going to thank everybody and say goodbye to everybody. And I'm going to say first in South African Afrikaans and then in Zulu. In Afrikaans, it's alles van die beste, hamagashle. Hamagashle is go in peace in Zulu, and alles van die beste is all of the best. It's like, you know, in Australia, they say, g'day, mate.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Okay.
And I know we have doctors on the call right now from Nigeria. We have people in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and that's just the ones that I
Salam
know.
alaikum. Salam alaikum.
All right.
That's
Okay.
right. Salam alaikum.
I hear my Nasima in the background.
Yeah, thank you, Doc, for
Okay.
always giving us
Okay.
this great information.
Okay.
And
Love
thank
you
you for-
guys.
Love you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Love you too, Dr. Wallach. All right, everyone. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Please share this call with other people. Go to AskDocLive.com. You can go ahead and sign up for your own invitation to the call. That includes the link that brings you to this Zoom. And everybody just go in peace, you know, be a positive change in your community. We'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.